Hi, I'm Kaytlyn,
And I'm Brianna.
and welcome to the Reader's Clubhouse, where we revisit our childhood favorite content.
All right, Kaytlyn.
All right, Brianna.
Uh, do you have a friend you consider a ride or die friend?
Can you define that for
Somebody
me?
who'd be there for you no matter what, kind of a thing.
Yes, his name is Jesus Christ. And
Okay, Kaytlyn. I should have known that you were going to do something like that. Should have known.
I'm so pleased with myself.
I can
Oh,
tell.
wow. Well, what was the question?
You have a friend who's not
Our Lord and
a
Savior Jesus
deity,
Christ.
basically. Yes, yeah. Who is your ride or die friend?
I mean, it sounds, I feel weird saying this, but I actually have like a lot of them. I have
That's
quite a
awesome.
few that I
Yeah.
would consider a ride or die friends. Am I supposed to name them and also explain why they're my ride or die friend?
It's up to you. I mean, we've never had parameters for the transitioning part of
Mm.
our going from this to
You mean
this kind of a
our
thing. So
conversations have zero parameters? Shock and awe.
yeah.
Even when we tried to have parameters like this podcast.
Yep.
Um, ride or die friends. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been through different seasons of my life, different friends. So, I I mean, I feel weird maybe mentioning names, but a friend of mine who listens to this podcast occasionally, hello friend, Catherine, if you're there. Um, she's definitely ride or die friend. I've known her for 8 years now, I think. I met her, or maybe nine. I
Okay.
can't remember exactly when I met her. She might remember, but we were friends in college, and I got stung by a bee when I was driving golf carts in
Of
college,
course.
and I mean, of course, I was driving a golf cart and it flew down my shirt and stung me. I'm like, how is
Ooh.
that my fault? And it's not. I
Yeah.
almost crashed the golf cart also. Oops. Um, but I put in our work group chat, like, I just got stung by a bee. I don't, while driving the cart. And she had messaged back saying, if you come to my room, I've got some stuff like that can help. And she made me some, concoction of baking soda and what are those things? Essential oils and things like that
Hmm.
that basically got the stinger out and didn't necessarily help reduce the pain a ton.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And then that's also how we became friends. And now in the last couple of years have like visited her 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Where she lives, don't dox Catherine. So that's one. I've got my friend in England who hilariously is also named Catherine. Just a different she
That
goes
has
by
always
Cass.
confused me when you talk about that.
It confuses me too, and I was trying to call my friend and my college friend Catherine while I
Yeah.
was with her because we were trying to find her phone.
Hmm.
And I know not UK Catherine, but a different Catherine who's up where I live right now at
Yeah.
my church here. And it called her, not the friend I was current. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
You know
Um,
too many
oh
Catherines.
my gosh, I know. We have an aunt named Catherine. Like, there's technically Grandma Kathy's also Catherine. Like
Is
I
she?
think she might just be Kathy actually. But Kathy's
Okay.
like a nickname for Catherine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I see where you're
I
going.
know so many of them. The point
Yeah.
is, Kath is ride or it's a different kind of ride or die, I guess. She's like,
Yeah.
because she's got 3 kids with the fourth on the way and is moving and
Mm,
is like super busy, also thousands of miles away. So, there's that. And then of course my friend JC, who I actually only became friends with in the last 18 months. Um,
yeah.
and I spent most weekends at her house over the last year-ish. And then she moved back home. And then, we FaceTime occasionally.
Occasionally. The last couple times we've been in a car together, you've been on the phone with her at some point.
I mean, I did call her after I dropped you off yesterday
Oh, I
because she texted
see.
me about her sourdough. And then I was like, why are you awake? because it's late. And she's like, I'm gonna be up till 1 a.m. because of the sourdough. And I was like, well, if you're gonna be up anyway, I may as
May as
well.
well, yeah.
It's fine. I've FaceTimed her every day since she left. It's fine. She
How
FaceTimed
long
me
has it
too.
been since she left?
36 days.
It's already been a month?
Yeah.
Wow, it
Isn't that
doesn't feel like
crazy?
it. It feels like it was like a week ago. And I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
even involved with this relationship.
I know. It's one of those crazy things about time that because honestly, in a lot of ways, it still feels like I just recently came back to the States from England, but it's been
Yeah,
almost 2 years
yeah,
that I've been back. And that
yeah,
is bananas.
it
Anyway,
is.
take me back. What about you, Brianna? Who's your ride or die friend?
Specifically my friend Robin,
Oh my
who
gosh, we
also
just
listens
met
to
her.
podcasts. Yeah, we just met
You
them.
met them.
Uh,
Yes.
yes. Uh, we just met with them.
Yeah.
Uh, in a previous episode. So the my friend Robin, they
Oh yeah,
is
that
the
wouldn't
Robin
be
on that
just.
episode.
Hold on. I'm sorry, you go. Speak while my brain thinks.
Okay. So, yeah, my friend Robin, we've known each other since we were in high school, though we weren't friends while we were in high school. And I'm actually a couple years older than them, so we weren't like going to high school at the same time, but we still were going to the same youth group. And around the time that I got back when I was doing the whole Job Corps thing and stuff, uh that is when we started to become friends. And then we've been friends like for over 10 years now at this point. And we've done a lot of stuff together. We talk at least a couple of times a month, not consistent, not like you and JC, but
Hmm.
that's just kind of how like I think
Yeah.
literally since the beginning of COVID, we have at least talked once a month. For the most part, there was like once or twice, like when they were moving earlier this
Mhm.
year, they bought a house with
Yeah.
their spouse, house and spouse. They bought a house with their husband Nathan, who also I consider a ride or die friend, but
Hmm.
Nathan and Robin are like a package. They both are very distinct people, but they're always together kind of a
Yeah.
thing and stuff. And they've been that way. They've been dating, or no, not been
I
dating.
mean,
They've been together for way, way, way long
they started
time. They're
dating in middle school, didn't they?
they started dating in middle school or like the end of middle school. I can't
Yeah.
remember now. Wild story I won't go into because it's not my story to tell.
Hmm.
But so like Robin is my best friend, but also Nathan is also a part of that because he's also a really cool person and he's very dad coded. Uh, Definitely, like, I super appreciate all the help they given me this last year, especially when I was going through a rough time and stuff. So, definitely putting Robin up there, and Nathan is also up there with Ride or Die.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that they've
So,
been huge help.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Also, we met them 5 episodes ago as of this episode being posted.
5 episodes, jeez.
Yeah. Just so the whoever listens to this episode, we have been recording, basically doubling up recording and reading in preparation
Yeah.
for like quite a busy summer for me. And so just
Yes.
trying to get, as much of a bank of episodes as possible, which meant there's just been a lot of not a lot of time between recording episodes. And so when
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
thinking like, you know, and that's only important. I want to say that because actually the episode we just posted was
Hmm.
episode 16.
Okay.
And the episode we're currently recording is episode 21.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So this
Wow.
episode that we're recording right now will go out in July. And we just posted, excuse me, our 16th episode in May. So we are doing really good on
We
reading
are.
and recording and doing all those things. So high
Yeah.
five.
Through the camera.
Yeah. An audio podcast with visual cues.
Yes. So yeah, go check out if you have missed that episode, go check out the Super Mario, or no, Paper Mario. Jeez Louise. Go check out our Paper Mario episode. That is the one that Robin guest starred on.
Episodes.
And
I
episodes.
split it into two because it was an
Oh,
hour and a half.
I forgot that you'd done that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. Okay. That's crazy.
yeah.
Love it.
I split it
Okay.
into two because then people could come back to it or whatever.
It gives a good stopping point
Yeah,
of like, I need to take a break and
yeah,
come back to it. That makes a lot of sense. I love that.
exactly.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
go check out those episodes where we have a really good discussion with Robin
Hmm.
about Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
Yeah. All right, Brenna, do you want to get us on into some book stats and then into our summary?
Yes. All right. As per usual with our Redwall stats, there's not a lot that is before the previous different from the previous stats, except for this book was released in 1998, directly
Ooh,
after the previous book, The Long
that's
Patrol.
crazy.
It was crazy, yeah. That honestly was our saddest. Like it's on, I think The Long Patrol easily was the saddest
Yeah.
out of every book for them that I can remember at the moment. But so it was directly released after that by Brian Jacques. This is fantasy fiction, and this is middle grade, but honestly, anybody can enjoy it up to like whatever kind of vibe you like. If this is your kind of vibe, this is a good thing to hop into. It has a lot of, I don't know, things that draw like a lot of, I think, adult fans, also
Yeah,
nostalgia, and then
I agree.
also is a good kind of like higher read for kids that are like trying to get into bigger chapter books and stuff. So that those are our stats. I am gonna get into the basically brief summary of Marlfox, which is the book that we are talking about this week. I don't know if we said that up until I just said that right now. Sorry, guys. So this is the book Marlfox, which is the direct sequel to The Long Patrol. So, continuing onward on our journey through the Redwall books, we find ourselves some seasons after the battles in Long Patrol. Many of our old friends have moved on, most recently Abbot Arvin, who had taken up the role after Tansy. But the Abbey has been peaceful for a long time. Out in Mossflower Woods, it is a different tale, though. There have been many sightings of pairs of gray foxes called the Marlfox, wandering the woods with their water rat followers. The Marlfox are known to be cunning and often are said to be hard to kill. Many also know about Castle Marl, where Queen Silith, the mother of the seven Marlfox, resides. It is a treacherous place that few return from. A squirrel family and a wandering troupe of entertainers are some of those who have had close encounters with them, and they make their way to the Abbey to warn the denizens there, or of the danger that is lurking. The two new groups make a home at Redwall and meet old friends as well as make new ones. Soon after they do, the Marlfox show up at the Abbey's door and demand they surrender to them. The Abbey, of course, refuses, under Krega's guidance. Yes, our old friend Krega is still there, loving on the young ones and guiding the Abbey in an abbess or abbot's place. One night, some of the foxes and their water rats get in and steal Martin's tapestry. One of the Marlfox brethren chooses to trick his siblings and steals off with the tapestry and strands the rest of them. Back at the Abbey, three young friends decide to set off to take it back. Song, the young squirrel maid with a beautiful voice, Dan, a young Redwaller who comes from a line of warriors, and Dippler, a young Gaussum shrew who wants to avenge the death of his Logalog, the leader of the Gaussum. As the three travel to Castle Marl, gain a new companion, As the three travel to Castle Marl, they gain a new companion, Burble, a water vole, after getting a boat in a shady deal. They journey further and find many odd but helpful companions, like a lonely hedgehog who lost his daughter. Back at the Abbey, the Redwallers deal with the encroaching Marlfox horde. Since they are stranded, they decided that they will take the Abbey and find some other fighters in the surrounding woodland. The Redwallers mount defenses, and as the siege draws on, the Marlfox are slowly picked off one by one. In one final push, the Marlfox's horde breaches the walls of the Abbey and pin the Redwallers in the building. In the battle, the last Marlfox is slain, and the Redwallers subdue their followers, finally ending the siege. Back with our young companions, they are almost upon the lake where the castle is, and its island, or the castle and its island are located, when they run into an old squirrel with a horde of young hedgehogs. Turns out this is Song's long-lost grandfather, who they had thought had died when her own father was very young. He had been held captive in the castle as a slave and now seeks to put an end to Queen Scylla's reign. On the island itself, there have been unrest as well. The queen is killed by one of her own children, the only one of them that had stayed behind. But she also is soon killed by her brother, who had come back with the tapestry, and as he pushes her off a cliff into the pike-infested waters of the lake. The young companions and their now small army, which also consists of a once injured osprey that Song helped, they arrive as they soon enact their plan. Oh, sorry. They arrive and they soon enact their plan to get into the castle and free all those inside. The conflict is quick, though now not without casualties. The final Marlfox is finally slain, and Martin's tapestry is recovered. They help those enslaved there to make their way off the island, and all of the small army head back to Abbey, all except the osprey, who has decided to make the castle his nest. As some time has passed, they arrive home, where they are greeted with tears of joy. Song is soon named abbess for her intelligence and grace, and the abbey is once again in peace.
At least it's not in pieces, am I right? Badum-tsh.
Oh,
anyway.
That didn't deserve a badumsh.
Everything I say deserves a badumsh. It's part of my charm.
I guess we'll agree to disagree.
How rude. All right. I remember this being one of my favorite books when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I still really enjoy it, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm just, as an adult, realizing there's a lot of world building questions that I have.
Yeah.
Because things are introduced and then not ever seen again.
Absolutely.
And I also think to get into songs and poetry, because that is a pretty big thing here. So I think you mentioned at some point that Song, the main character, is a singer, and she's got a very beautiful voice. It's mentioned quite a few times. Reminds me a little bit, and I'm just now making this connection, of Rose from Martin's story.
Oh, which is interesting because the name of the troupe in here is the
The
Noonvale
Noonville
something or
Players.
another. Yeah.
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 Which, why are they called the
Yeah.
Noonville Players? Are they
That
from Noonvale?
actually is my grievance, I feel like, with that is because they it's a connection to that past that we know the Red Wall, like we know Redwall has been informed of that past at
Yes.
this point in history because it was all the way during Marielle's time that
Yep.
somebody, like, we find that out in Martin the
Yep.
Warrior's story, in the like epilogue and
Yep.
prologue and stuff. And I think it's odd that like at no point, like, he just kind of throws it in there, like
Yep.
Noonvale. And I'm like, cool, but like,
But what
do we
about
not
it?
get, yeah, like, what about it? Why'd you name them that? Like, you are
Yeah.
making a connection to the troop in Martin the Warrior and also the place where Rose is from. So I definitely didn't even make that connection that she is in some ways very similar to Rose,
Yeah.
character-wise and stuff. And that is super interesting that he chose to do that. She doesn't have the same storyline as
No,
Rose,
not at all.
100%.
Thank
Yeah.
God, because I
Yes.
could not take another Rose death. Okay.
Seriously.
Top 10
Oh,
anime
no, thank you.
deaths. Rose.
Literally, yeah. That is rough. Part of the reason why I actually don't like Martin the World that much, the book
I know.
specifically. Um,
It's
so yes,
now we
Kaytlyn.
already talked about it. We don't need
We
to talk.
already did. Yeah, we
If
don't
you
need
have
to talk about it
questions,
again.
go back to that episode.
Yeah. So there's that. Song, whose full name is Song Breeze.
Such a cool name.
It is a very cool name, honestly. It definitely growing up, some of the names that these characters have, like some of them are pretty basic or silly. Like one of the other main characters in the book is Dippler.
Yep.
Uh yeah, but and then there's like the other main character, the other part of the trio that heads off at the Abbey is Danflor, which is a great name,
Yeah.
honestly. And then he just goes by Dan and stuff.
Yeah.
Like so kind of bringing it back to the songs and poems thing.
Hmm.
She's a singer.
Hmm.
She gets asked to sing quite often at different
Hmm.
points. Her singing, like the stuff she sings, isn't like tied to the plot or anything.
Mm-mm.
It's just uh, her using her voice to bring
Yeah.
people together, partly, and
Yep.
also to just make music because she,
Yeah.
again, got the tool, she uses it and
Yeah.
stuff. So
I
yeah,
think you actually just said something that like triggered a stream of thoughts in my brain is the fact that because a lot of the time when I'm reading it with my eyes rather than listening to the audio, I
yeah,
do skip the just sort of random songs and ditties that they're singing, the travel songs and things like that. I
yeah,
just I do because again, we're reading these pretty consistently back to back and
yeah,
it's because they don't add to the plot and furthering the plot, you know.
yeah,
However, in this one, there is a poem that does further the plot. So Martin appears in a dream to Dan and says, "Here's this, follow my poem clues, and then you'll find the island of the Marlfoxes."
yeah,
Um, but but the thing about the songs that actually they don't play an important part of the plot, but they do have an important cultural part to play
yeah,
is that they bring people together. So you were saying the times the song is singing, it's usually trying to bring people together, or there's a
yeah,
feast and she's singing, or there's the travel time and they're singing a travel song as they're going, or just
yeah,
things like that. Or I believe her when she meets her grandfather Gajo, that she sings a song for him and he's like, "Oh, my wife used to sing that." Like and has
yeah,
this well up of emotions because it's a reminder of someone that he lost years ago who's not actually dead but just
yeah,
he didn't know was still around basically. um
absolutely.
and so the importance of the songs and poetry are that they do bring people together, and especially in a book series like this where the emphasis in every single series is the hospitality and
Yeah,
the found family, the community of people at Redwall. And
yeah,
of course, the community that is sort of brought in from the outside to Redwall. The music actually plays a significant part of culture and development at the
mm,
Abbey. And even though Brian is notorious for introducing a song that's like, oh yes, the hymn of Redwall, and you're like, okay, so it's a pretty frequent, like for example, there's a doxology song that we sing every week at my church at the end of our
mm,
service.
yeah,
And not every church sings it. Not every person who's a Christian knows it, but there are a lot of places that you're like, this is the doxology, or someone starts to sing it and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before because it's a
yeah,
pretty ancient and common song that has been sung and developed in the
yeah,
culture of at least the West. And so what Brian does is he says this is the
yeah,
song of our Abbey, and then
yep.
never hear it again in any of the books or whatever, which
He
I find
also,
fascinating.
it's also with some of the feasts too. Like
Hmm.
some of them make sense that they're one shots basically. It's like, oh, it's for this event or whatever. I'm like, totally valid.
Absolutely.
The one that I feel like is one that doesn't like I don't remember if he's mentioned it in multiple books, but I feel like it's not very often. I feel like it should
Hmm.
be more of a thing is the naming day, and it's
Yes.
naming the season. And I get not wanting to do it in every book and stuff, and like some of the early ones obviously we don't have it because they're like past history and
Yeah.
stuff. But some of the time, like I can't remember any of the examples right at the moment. Sorry, everybody. Uh, of when they do it and stuff, but like I feel like the naming day would have been a good one to like bring up every couple of books of like, yeah, we're having
Especially,
autumn naming day. Because it's naming day, clarify for people who might be a little bit confused. Naming day is naming the season. Because if you notice as you're going through the books, often the recorder, when they're like going through stuff, it was the season of the uh, deep snow or something like
yeah.
that. So there's something significant about the beginning of the season that happens that the do they name him at the beginning or the ending of the season? I can't remember. But either way,
They
like
usually
something
name it
about the
at the
season.
beginning of the season.
Okay, yeah. And it's not like the
Usually.
first day, usually, yeah. Sometimes I forget which book it was in, but during one of the books, they put off naming the season because
Yeah.
they were waiting for somebody to come home,
Yeah.
and I cannot remember what it was.
Yeah.
But there's a number of instances where like it's been sort of mentioned, but it's very infrequently, and there's plenty of other times they could have been used as a reference and
Yeah.
stuff. So that is one of the things that I'm like, I kind of wish he would have been more like consistent with stuff. One of the other ones that always sticks out to me, I remember one of the there's like cultural references he makes with the different groups, like the
Mhm.
Gaussum. And it's actually this one ties a little bit with the Marlfox
Yeah.
because it references what happens in Salamandastron when the location where the Marlfox castle is set uh is a place in that one. So if anybody
Yeah.
remembers, and we'll talk about this in a second more in depth. If anybody remembers in Salamandastron, they go to a lake, a
Mm.
giant lake. It has a weird
Yep.
sea monster in it that Sam, is his just name just Sam, or was there something else to
Sam
it?
Kim.
Sam Kim, the squirrel, another squirrel. Uh, Sam Kim the squirrel kills it, but they go out and there's a ghost on the island and stuff, and it turns out to be a white badger. And then that badger
Ooh.
Earth White becomes the Lord of the Mountain after his brother dies and stuff. So like there's that lore. In that one, part of the reason why some of them end up at the lake is because the Gaussum have a special little stone or whatever
The
that
Black
got
Stone.
lost. The black stone that was supposed to be like the symbol of the leader and it got lost. But that's never mentioned again outside of
Never.
that book, never again. And I'm like, it was it literally only for a few generations? Why, if it was so significant in Salamandastron, which is it's set after Bellmaker, uh, and we meet Gaussum in Mariel, which is like a little bit
Hmm.
before Bellmaker.
Yep.
So like the time between all of that, I'm like, so what happened to the stone thing? When did it become important? Because we met Gaussum even further before that, because we met
Yep.
Gaussum during Martin's time. What are we doing, Brian? Why did you even introduce that and stuff? I feel like you could have done maybe, I don't know, a rapier or something, because that's like the standard weapon for a shrew, but instead you
Yep.
chose a random item that is never mentioned again. And then like there's other times where like groups are marching, it's like this is a common Gavsum marching
Marching
song, and
song.
you're like,
Same thing with the
I
Long
this
Patrol as
is
well.
yes, yeah, another one. I'm like, look, I get wanting to do a new song, wanting to do poems and everything like that, but I skip those after the very first time that I read them. I skip them most of the time, unless like something stands out to me or it's like important to the plot.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I actually would have preferred seeing the marching sound like, oh, this was in Long Patrol, and this was in like three other of the books and stuff. It doesn't have to be every single one of them, but yeah. So sorry
Yeah.
going off on
No,
that rant.
that I completely agree. And it reminds me of there was a scene in the Long Patrol where they've got all the new recruits for
Yeah,
the military
Army.
basically, and they're doing
Yeah.
this whole apparent ritual that
Yeah.
is a tradition that happens when you've got new recruits with like the sergeants and the corporals and the lieutenants and stuff like that. And my thing as I was reading that, I was like, okay, but we've been in Salamandastron before. We've sort of seen Salamandastron ebb and flow with the number of recruits that they have. And even
Yeah.
looking at Lord Brocktree, where he brings that horde of hares with him
Yeah.
from, and not just hares, but other woodland creatures as well, when he sort of quote unquote defeats the North Hare King Bucko.
Yeah.
But you never see the establishment of these traditions, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then you don't see the follow through of those things. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting. And it is something that I think because it's a book meant for kids and because when I was a kid, I didn't notice any of that. I
Same.
didn't think about continuity. I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Animals
Yeah.
and chaos and drama. And I didn't even make the connection between what I remember loving about these three books, Long Patrol, and I guess Lutra also, a little bit less, but Long Patrol, Marlfox, and Tagarung is the fact that Krega was in each of them, and you see
Yeah.
her as I think you had said in the last episode, the Long Patrol, the
Three
like
facets of her
maiden
life.
mother crone sort of
Yeah.
imagery that we get, where in this one she's much more middle-aged mother type,
Yeah.
and then in the next book she's an ancient badger mom.
Yeah.
So it's just really fascinating that with the passage of time, both in book and all the changes that happen culturally in book, that the songs are not consistent, and many are just seem to be lost. They all seem to get
Yeah.
lost as soon as the book ends. But
Yeah.
also even the passage of time for me as a human in the real world, that the things that really kept my attention as a kid, and the things I was like, oh, this is so cool, like it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. What I will also say is in the future we're going to do the book Eulalia,
Yeah.
which,
Which I remember nothing about. I don't even know if I actually read it.
okay, that's really funny because I remember a lot about it, but I don't
Hmm.
remember much about the next episode we're going to read in the Red Wall series, which is Triss. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I remember literally nothing about that book in this moment.
Yeah, that one was a favorite of mine. So I remember all of
Mhm,
Triss's journey, or like big chunks of Triss's
mhm.
journey. I don't remember everything. I don't remember the
Yeah.
overall, like, the beginning, middle, and end. I just remember her part. It's because we'll talk about this more,
Yeah.
but she was the first Redwall girl warrior who held the
Mhm.
sword and
Yeah.
stuff. So,
And with Eulalia, I remember because the Badger, who's the main character in there, has this gnarly scar on his face,
yeah.
and falls in love. And so
Oh,
I'm
I don't remember
yeah,
that
and there's
one.
this really beautiful song that is on page 153 of the book that I have. I believe it's page 153.
Okay.
That obviously I didn't listen to the audiobook when I was
Yeah.
a kid, so I have a tune for it in my own head
Yeah.
that is, I could almost guarantee you, not any sort of tune that is actually exists or is good. But I just
Yeah.
remember reading it, and the it's a very beautiful poem. We'll get to it one day.
One
I
day. Yeah.
believe in
Future
2026.
episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, as I'm looking at it, I think Eulalia is going to be the first episode
The new
of
year.
2026. Yeah. So
Oh.
look
Okay.
forward to that, guys. Anyway, we
Yeah.
should move on before this becomes a 3 hour episode.
Just split
Um,
it into two again, Q.
the thing is, I can do that, but Spotify doesn't let me put like 16.1, 16.2
No, yeah.
in episodes, so it just says episode. And it really, really, I almost
Bothers
didn't
you.
put
Yeah.
it as 2 episodes because of how much it bothered me, because
Yeah.
I couldn't put it as episode 16.1.
Yeah.
I had to put it as episode 17.
Yeah.
And it still bothers me just thinking about it, because and
Yeah.
having it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna have to, we're not going to just stick with, the hour-ish we've given ourselves.
No.
Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
have to. I probably should have split the Emma movie episode into, because I think that one's an hour and a half too, and I just went straight. But I didn't think about it
We
at the
learn as
time.
we go. This is our
Yeah,
first podcast.
yeah. Hopefully our
Yeah.
last. What? Um, so
Wow.
world building and story, we've kind of already talked about it a bit. It starts out with Redwall, and well, it starts out with sort of different groups making their way towards Redwall.
As
And then,
per usual, a lot of the
yeah,
time.
absolutely. Redwall's sort of the nexus point of most of these stories.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of things set at Redwall because there's the conflict um with the Marlfoxes and their hordes trying to get into Redwall because it's theoretically got all this treasure. And then, oh man, yeah. Then you've got the journey. So there's sort of the two locations. You've got Redwall and Marlfox Island, and then the journey between them for both the Fox brother who flees, that has Martin the Warrior's tapestry, and then also the what's the word I'm thinking? Quartet of heroes that we
Yeah.
have, which are Song, Dan, Dippler, and Burble, who's a bankful of
Yeah.
things along the way. The four
The
chieftains
first the first time we've had a vole be a main character.
who wasn't incredibly annoying.
Yeah, but even those ones that are really annoying. Oh no, Viola.
Viola was also incredibly annoying.
Yeah, but she made up for it at the end by even okay, I'm going to be a Viola
Advocate.
apologist and the
Uh-huh.
advocate, whatever, because she learned from her
She did.
mistakes as a kid. She really came into her own and helped everybody out on the island and
Hmm.
stuff in Pearls of Lutra. Then in Long Patrol, the previous
Hmm.
book before this, yes, she was annoying, she was snooty, but even Tansy was like, she gets stuff done. And even some of the time when she is being kind of snooty, she reins herself in. There's a
Hmm.
couple times, and I don't remember all the times, where she reined herself in. And so she definitely, I feel like, is personally one of my favorite bulls because she still has the snootiest, or like, she's slightly like what people call unlikable. But if you
Hmm.
actually look at her more deeply, she actually shows a lot of room for growth and that
Hmm.
she chooses to grow and
Yeah.
everything and to support her leaders because she did that plenty of times with Tansy and
Yeah,
stuff, even when
absolutely.
Tansy was like she's being annoying.
Yeah. I
So,
agree with you. She's the least
yeah.
annoying of the Bankfuls we'd had up to her point.
Yes.
And she's actually a lot more useful than most of the other Bankfuls, like Cynthia and
Yes.
Colin, who are
Oh
both
yeah.
the worst.
Yes, absolutely.
But
Oh, and also
Burbles,
that bull in Martin the Warrior that tr betrayed everybody
hmm,
also.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. But Burble is the first one that's useful and likable.
Yes, yeah.
Still a
He's a
bit
little odd.
dodgy.
Well,
And,
like when he's like, "Ah, I have a throne now."
yes, but also he steals, they trade songs like staff
Yes.
for a boat.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, we're going to steal the nicest boat. And also, I'm going to steal the staff too because my tribe are shady and I know what they're going to do too anyway. So I'm just going to steal
Yeah.
first. I know they're going to
Yeah.
steal, so I may as well steal first. He's a little bit
Yeah.
shady, but he's also fun and he's likable and
I don't
um
think he'd backstab people
no, absolutely
is
not.
yeah, he'd still like steal something from you probably,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna be like
Yeah. He's more
to your
like Gonf
detriment
the
usually.
Mouse Thief vibes.
Yes, he is a lot like Gonf in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where he's got a code of honor and he will steal from you, but he's not going to keep it. He'll give
Yeah.
it back to you.
Yeah.
So I really liked Purple. But anyway, so they have this journey. They pick up sort of they collect people along the way because they need an army when they get to the castle. And so,
Yeah.
what better way to do that than to pick up people? And
Yeah.
um yeah, there's just these different like this the Bankbold Den and then Solitary, who's the hedgehog, his house, and then you meet the little not the little the I believe it's an otter grandma that is
Yeah.
around and then you run into Gajo and his tribe of hedgehog children that he's adopted. Um yeah, and you sort of pick things up. You meet some other creatures and the osprey, they rescue the osprey. And
Mhm.
it is in a lot of ways like one of those video games where you collect characters like to put in
Like
your
Fire
party.
Emblem.
Like Fire Emblem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just made that connection now. Like it's like a Fire Emblem game where you collect all the characters and then, fight the final
Yeah.
boss and you pick
Yeah.
your party and the party that wow, that's really funny. And then you get to the island. Redwall's defeated their Marlfoxes, and you get to the island, and there's only the the dude.
Yeah.
Name I can't
The dude.
remember the Marlan or Marvin.
What?
It's not Marvin.
Which dude are you talking about
The
again?
older brother who survives the longest.
Mokan.
Mokan.
Mokan, however you say it.
Mokan.
Mokan.
Mokan. I like Mokan better. Um, yeah. And then you have the slaves at
Yeah.
Marlfox at Castle, and
Hmm.
then they become the army that overthrows Marvel. It's one of those things that is very simple and there's not a lot of nuance to it, and I understand that, and it will actually
Yeah.
happen again in Hyrule Lane. But
Yeah.
it makes me happy every single time there's a slave army that rises up and overthrows their oppressors. It just
Yeah.
there's something about it that really gets me because there's the justice of it and the freedom aspect of people who were once in chains are now free, and
Yeah.
not just free and like suffering and struggling, but free and taking ownership of their freedom and throwing off the cloak of oppression. Oh my gosh. There's a fantastic line from Midnight Burger where um Zebulon is doing this whole spiel at the end of sort of towards the end of season 3 where they finally get free of the brunch um hole that they were in, and it's just
Yeah.
brilliant, but it fills you with the sense of like our chains have been released, we are now free and we're active and things like that. And it's something I Brian actually does quite a few times, that he has, woodland creatures being enslaved by vermin, and then he
Yeah.
has this slave army that rises up and overthrows their oppressors.
Yeah.
I really like. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on the world? We've kind of part of our song and poetry section was also world building and some discrepancies.
Yeah. And
Um,
some of it we talk about the characters too
yeah,
and everything. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't have a lot of extra to add to the world building. I had already made mention of like the big part, which was that Marlfox Island,
yeah,
with Castle Marl or whatever,
yeah,
has a connection to Salmandastron and that whole journey in the island there with that has Earthwhite on it. In the story, they even make a reference to the
yeah,
ghost badger. Uh, when the one Marl Fox that had been left on the island that was like a sibling was using that like lore to scare their mother
yeah.
into craziness, honestly. And so like there's those connections. They I part of the reason why Song and her group are able to find the island in the first place is because Samkin made a note
Yeah,
all those years ago of the journey that he went on to get there.
yeah,
So they followed his journey and like there were some things that had changed between his time and that time, which I appreciated because that
yeah,
it was a lot of time. But it was still like a cool homage to that book all the way back
yeah.
then. And honestly, it's sometimes a better, like it was a better connection than some of the other things that um, Brian has introduced and just kind of forgets. So that's something I appreciated and stuff
I totally
with
agree with
it.
you
Yeah.
about you. As you're saying that, I was thinking that I think it's not the first time that we get sort of an homage to a previous book, but I
Yeah.
think it's one of the clearest and one of the I want to say one of the only ones, at least so far, that we've had that is here's a journey these characters went on. Here's the
Mm,
story, that journey. And, Sam Kim was like, you can't get clear directions to it, but I will write
yeah.
this little poem instruction thing that you
Yeah.
then can find your way
Yeah.
if you follow my hidden instructions, which again, something Brian
Yeah.
loves to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Loves a good puzzle in a poem.
yeah. And I mean, same. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
in I think it's Pearls of Lutra when Cracklin and Pippin or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Pick is it pick something? I can't remember.
It's something like that. Yeah.
Um my brain wants to call her Pickle, but that's actually a different character who's a hare who's
In a
called
different
Pickle.
thing. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Pickle was
Um
in Salamandastron, wasn't he?
he was Mara and
He was
Pickle.
Alma's.
Mara.
It was. It was. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting Alma from. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mara, thank you.
Yeah.
Mara and Pickle.
Yeah, Mara and Pickle. I can't remember where I was going now, Brianna.
I am
Yeah.
not totally sure where we were going either. I got distracted by all your distractions. If only we could rewind to right before, like right around when you started your train of
Well,
thought.
the worst part is that I'm going to be editing this and be like, oh, I remember where I was going with that.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
Anyway, yeah.
we should get into talking about our favorite characters
Yes.
and potentially our least favorite characters, although, oh, actually, I do have one. Okay. All right, Brandon, who's your
Oh,
favorite
okay.
character?
That's really hard. I I'm a bit of a tie. I'm not even a tie. There's a lot of great characters in this one, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like I really love the whole I don't know how to say their last name. Just a second. This oh no, it is the Swift Eye
The
family.
Swift Eyes, yeah.
Yeah, the Swift Eye. So that's Songbreeze's family name is Swift Eye.
Yeah.
So it's Songbreeze Swift Eye. It's her dad,
Jangular.
Jangular,
Jangular. I think I call him
Jangular.
Jangular.
Which is funny because that's a UR. Jangular.
Jangular. Oh, Jangler.
Jangler. Okay.
Jangler.
We're gonna say Jangler. So there's Jangler
I've been calling him
and my
Jangular this
list.
entire time. I won't lie to you.
Gosh.
Oh, okay.
It's him and his wife and grandma, and the list that I have in front of me for some reason doesn't list the grandma and the wife, and I cannot remember their names right at the moment.
The grandma's
Uh,
name is Aleo,
Aleo, love
and
her. She's
the
sassy grandma 100%.
wife's name
Starts like her name
is
has a rose.
Rimrose.
Rimrose. Okay, yeah. So it's wait, can you say the grandma's name again?
Aleo,
Eleo, Jangler, Rimrose,
Rimrose,
and Songbreeze.
and Gajo.
And Gajo is grandpa, who we meet later and stuff. And they're all a great family unit. I love it. They're travelers. They decide to take up residence at Redwall because they're kind of done with traveling and stuff. And they've been doing that since before Jangler was even born, honestly, and stuff. So I also really liked something I liked with Jangler specifically is
Yeah, yeah,
uh he's a chubby squirrel, but the thing the love the description is he's chubby and short and has these beautiful eyelashes.
yeah.
And it throws people off because it makes it look like he's asleep a lot of the time and also just kind of like dozy.
Hmm.
But then he'll beat the crap out of you and stuff.
We love it.
So we love it. I love characters that are not the stereotypical body types, getting a shine and everything.
Yeah,
And even within anthropomorphic animals and stuff.
yeah,
So their whole family unit I love. Especially I do really love Song because it'd been a long time since I read this, so I didn't remember Song's journey.
yeah.
And it every moment of Song's journey justified why she became Abbess at the end. And it made a lot of sense for what was going on, all that other stuff. Really, really loved it. So she's definitely one of my favorite characters. Also, throwing in Krega again.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is technically my favorite version of her, but
Yeah,
I like her more than I did in Long Patrol, and there's a specific reason for that.
yeah.
I didn't hate her, but I also like you kind of realize now, especially as an adult with adult eyes, like
Hmm.
how crazy how much she succumbed to her bloodlust basically at
Yeah.
that point, her hatred. It's not that she was crazy, she can't succumb to her hatred
Hmm.
is what it was. And that was to the detriment of everybody around her, which was sad. But then she had a redemption moment of we're gonna move away from my anger now, uh, after I got my revenge and all this other
Yeah.
stuff, but like she was able to grow from it. But my favorite, this actually ties the Swift Eyes and Craig together. My
Awesome.
favorite moment in the whole book, I was like, yes, because I get to see Craig be a little bit of a warrior again.
Yeah.
Because a part of the story that I'm gonna go into it brings in a couple other characters. So Dan and his dad, Rusavlar, whatever, and stuff.
Rustful.
Restful. Dan and Restful have lived at the Abbey since Dan was young because his mom died, and Restful is from a long line of warriors. Can you say the name for me?
Raguba.
The Raguba warriors and stuff. Um, Me and Kaytlyn were talking about this before the podcast. Why are these people never mentioned before this? But
Or ever
who knows?
again.
Or ever again. And he has his dad. So Dan's dad. Can you say his name for me one more time?
Rustful. You can just
Rustful.
call him Russ.
Russ, thank you. Russ is kind of kind of like man's man
Hmm.
vibe a little bit, unfortunately. And he's like, we're warriors.
But
And like he has a tension-filled relationship with Dan, especially like as the story goes on for various things and stuff. And he actually has a bit of he has a bit of a conflict with Craig at one point because he's
hmm
like, why are you not being more like offensive more than defensive. And she's like, look, dude, this is not exactly how she says it, obviously, but she's like, look, dude, I've lived life.
Yeah.
The like not going full on like headlong into things is way better than like I don't want to be that person I used to be is
Hmm.
basically kind of the gist of it. But this leads into my favorite moment. It's during the siege part when they're all
Yeah.
stuck in the building. Krega is up, I think, in her room or something, and Rimrose and Aleo are up there also.
Hmm.
And Krega has a bow, giant one,
Hmm.
huge, and she can't see. Remember, everybody? She's
Yes, she's
blind.
blind.
She's blind. So we have this old squirrel and this her daughter-in-law there being like her eyes and they're like
Yeah.
not pointing, but they direct her to where she needs to go. And she's got this bow back and it's one of the Marlfox she's pointing at. They don't see it coming. They think that they're like they've got like it all figured out and stuff and immediately dead. Like it
Yeah.
is my favorite moment of like she gets to be a bit of a warrior again, but
Hmm.
in the context of the community around her helping her
Hmm.
and stuff. And also the disability she has doesn't hinder her strength whatsoever.
Absolutely.
It just kind of makes more emphasis on the community aspect of these two people helping her with uh the thing that she is technically missing in this, which is her sight
Hmm.
and her still being able to take out one of the bad guys and stuff
Yeah.
without even having to be in the same room with them. And so it just was like it's one of my favorite parts of the book is that part where
I love
Rimrose
that, Brianna.
and Aleo are helping. Yeah, so good. So yeah, I'd say I still feel like Krega is one of my favorite characters because of that, and then Song especially also.
Yeah.
Um, and just the whole Swift Eye family in general, like they have such good vibes. Like
Yeah.
even when Grandpa shows up, I'm like, great vibes, love them. Yeah.
I agree. I loved Grandpa.
He
He was
adopts
a good
like
one.
multiple hedgehogs.
There's like 12 of them, weren't
Like
there?
there's 12 of them. There were some, sadly, some of them die
Yeah.
in the fight and stuff, but he like raised them from small children. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it, like you said at the beginning of your character comments, it was hard because of how many good characters there actually were in here and characters I really
Yeah.
enjoyed. Um, let me start with my least favorite character
Okay. I'm curious.
was Dwapple,
Oh,
the baby.
I had a inkling that it was gonna be
It's
Dwapple.
I know that there's often the sort of mischievous youngling character in Brian's books. But for
Yeah.
some reason, Dwapple specifically just really irritated me in a lot of ways. Because there's been other ones that haven't irritated me as much that it's been like, oh, okay, even
I have a theory when
okay,
you're
tell
done.
me.
Yeah.
Tell me
Okay.
your theory.
So part of the reason why he bothered me also was because of the way his aunt acted.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Because it was the allowance of the bad behavior. Like
Yeah.
sometimes the Redwallers, I do think it's funny. Sometimes the Redwallers do indulge the
Yeah.
Dibbins, maybe Redwallers, bad behavior in some ways,
Yeah.
but they often like come together when it like gets really bad and they don't make excuses for the Dibbins
Yeah.
behavior either. And that was the Dwapple's whole thing most of the
Yeah.
time was that he almost got taken. I mean, he was a
Hmm.
spicy little guy. He
Yeah.
wasn't super afraid. I appreciated that, but like he just had like his aunt constantly was making excuses for him.
Yeah.
And I I'm like Florian, the
Yeah.
hair in the story. I'm like, you're stronger the man than I am because I would have slapped that kid at some point
I
probably. And I'm like,
absolutely.
and he still liked him
Yeah.
too. Like deep down he did. And I was like, buddy, like he heckles you way worse than anybody else
Yeah.
and stuff. So I'm
And
like, you're
it's
that
because
kid.
Florian reacts and Dwapples
Yeah.
gets joy out of it. And that's the thing about
Yes.
a lot of interactions like that when someone's heckling you, if you just don't react to them, like granted
Yeah.
there's limits, you know what I mean? There's obviously bullying and some really bad things like that where
Yeah.
um it isn't actually about ignoring it and then, there's you need to actually address some of the issues at certain points, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Dwapple just really grated on me at any point because oftentimes the babes become useful in some way.
Yeah.
And they're like surprisingly useful or
Hmm.
in something, but that doesn't happen with Dwapple. Like he does
No.
become like I don't think useful is the right word. He just sort of involves himself. And there were many times I was reading this that I was just like, this would have been better if he wasn't there.
Also, it would have been better if he had a come uppance moment of like, oh,
Yes.
my bad behavior actually caused problems.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he never had that moment.
Yeah.
It just was like we just kept emphasizing how like of much of a troublemaker he was, and it wasn't an endearing way. It makes me
Yeah.
think of Klecky again.
Yes. Yeah.
Because comparing him with other hairs, we were talking about this before the podcast. But Florian in this one,
Hmm.
uh, he is a typical hare. He still, like every hare has a thing with food for the most part.
Hmm.
They often will do stupid stuff
Hmm.
to get food and like often annoy the other
Hmm.
characters and everything like that. But uh when push comes to shove, they pull out the stops. And Florian wasn't a detriment like Klecky
No.
was
Yeah.
to the overall like plot. Like he literally figured out something was going on at one point and
Hmm.
stuff. I can't remember what it was exactly. But like Klecky, like yes, his mishaps helped them find clues, but it never was like it made it feel like he was dumb.
Yeah.
But like when other hairs do it, it like it's not it's so hard. I don't have the right
Yeah.
words for it, honestly, and stuff. It's just like, but like the behavior that Klecky had didn't have. Oh, I'm gonna use a conversation I had at work. I work at a
Okay.
bookstore.
Hmm.
A lot of our conversations center around books and stories and everything like that,
Absolutely.
because
I mean, that makes
not
sense.
just with us. Yes, yeah, because that's a part of the job. And I was talking about this book series that I was reading, and one of the reasons why I like the book series is the characters are messy. And I was having this conversation with other people, and I was like, but I was saying like it's messy, but in a fun way, an
Okay.
endearing way that they're messy. And it's never like when people's behavior is really bad, like it does come back to bite them, but sometimes they're still messy and like
Yeah.
these are all adults and it's romances. So like
Hmm.
think what you will about like what messy means in that case. But my coworker was like they're like it's when the behavior isn't explained very well or like they don't have a reason for being messy or it's
Hmm.
that the messiness is to the detriment of everybody else and hurts everybody else. That's when it's not fun or like
Right.
why
Yeah.
is the messy behavior there like messy behavior that harms other people or makes you honestly kind of unlikable. Like, that's not even the right way to put it because then people will use that for like certain behaviors that people can't really help and everything. But
Hmm.
it's like when it's behavior that they are doing uh on purpose
Hmm.
and to the detriment of the other people around them,
Hmm.
and it's something they can help and could grow from. Like that's not a good character.
Hmm.
Like to me
Yeah.
at least and stuff. And some people like those kinds of characters. I'm not gonna dock
Hmm.
everybody's like likes and stuff, but that's not a character I enjoy.
Hmm.
I there's actually a romance that I read no, it was in 2023. It had some of the things I really like certain character stuff, but the other love interest was terrible as a
Hmm.
person. I was getting triggers from my
Hmm.
childhood about the behavior that was happening with that character, and for some reason the other character forgave them at the end after they repented for all the stuff they did, and I was like, you didn't do enough
Hmm.
to make that all back and everything.
Yeah.
So it's just for me, if the character is never like feels bad for their behavior that hurts other people,
Yeah.
that's and it's not it doesn't have to be full on hurting. It has to be
Hmm.
like you're even just like I'm not explaining this very well, I feel like, but like I don't know. I just feel like specifically with like Klecky and then Dwapple,
Yeah.
like it was never endearing their
Hmm.
messiness. It was always like you're being so annoying and you accidentally are helpful at the
Yeah.
like in a very basic moment and stuff. And it wasn't an endearing way like sometimes it happens with the other Dibbin specifically in
Yeah.
Dwaple's case. It's just like he was annoying the whole time and never was called to task for his behavior and
Absolutely.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a
It's
whole long rant.
it was a whole long rant. But it is the thing about Dwapple is that there is a level of incompetence that is endearing.
Yes.
And then there's a level of, and of course he's a baby, so there's,
Yeah.
there's a level of incompetence that young characters and young children have that they
Yeah.
can't be as competent as an adult because it's just not how
No, and
sort
I
of.
again don't blame Dwapple fully for
Mhm.
everything. I blame largely his aunt for
Yes,
most of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
For enabling bad behavior and
Yes.
being an enabler. And I totally
Yeah.
agree. But his character just, like you said, there's no growth from that. And actually, what I wanted to touch on a little bit, I'll get to favorite characters eventually, was
Yeah.
Rustful
Oh
as a
yeah.
character, because in a lot of ways, at the beginning of the book, embodied some pretty toxic character traits
Yeah.
around like I have a particular view of masculinity, and if my son does
Hmm.
not replicate my exact view of masculinity and warrior mindset, then you're
Yeah.
failing. And he was really hard on Dan to a detrimental degree. And what I love about this particular book, in terms of looking at squirrel masculinity, I guess, because it's not, some of it's not entirely translatable into our particular
I
culture.
really think it's interesting that Brian chose this book to do this in because at this point, there's been multiple books before this with very few times where this kind of character has ever shown up. Like, great example of like, he's very early on always had male characters who
Mhm.
are kind and gentle is, oh my gosh, what's her name? The squirrel woman in the first Redwall book. I can't remember her name right now. She's one of my favorites.
Jess.
Jess, her husband,
Hmm. Mr.
like
Squirrel.
Mr. Squirrel. He very much was like stay-at-home dad,
Hmm.
like I got the baby, go do your thing, wifey kind of a thing and stuff.
Hmm.
Like, and that's like the first book. And that was his like most of the male characters in Redwall are very kind, intelligent,
Hmm.
XYZ, a whole bunch of other stuff. And then it's very interesting this far into the series, he's chosen to kind of address this like toxic, honestly, toxic masculinity behavior
Hmm.
um, with this character. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean there have been plenty of other male characters who are toxic, like a lot of the
Yes,
shrews that
yeah,
have these sort of unhealthy
yeah,
behaviors and things like that. But specifically with Russ, what I really appreciated in this book is that is that you had the pairing of Jangler and Rustful, and they have been
yeah,
friends for a long time, but their
hmm,
lives have had they've had different experiences in their lives. So
yeah,
Jangler still has his mom and his wife and daughter around him, and yes, he lost his father, but like he's got community, he's got family, he's got people around him, and he is the protector of the family. He's
yeah,
the male that is it's his mom's feisty, and so there's that, but
yeah,
Jangler's the one that is protecting the family and is sort of the head of the family and leading all the kind of people that are around him. And Rustful is at Redwall Abbey, where in theory he should have found family and he should have these
yeah,
people around him to help. He lost his wife, and that is
yeah,
devastating for him, but he's got the found family and the community of Redwall to help sort of replace the thing that he lost. Not actually replace it, but to
fill the
help
gap.
to fill in the gap. Exactly. That's a really good way of describing that. And with Dan, because he grew up at Redwall, he did have that sense of there are some gaps that were filled. So I imagine, I mean, maybe I'm getting too psychological with this, but like Craiga would have filled the mom role for him in a
Yeah,
way that like Song didn't have to have because she had her dad and mom and grandma with her. And so it's
yeah,
just there's a little bit differences. What I liked about Russ is that through his relationship with Jangler, um, and through the rest of the book, you see the
hmm,
character growth that he goes through. It doesn't change his
yeah,
personality. He's still a bit of a gruff warrior. He still has like
yeah,
this is it's a tradition passed down to me. The Regaba line is passed down to me through, father and son, that kind of thing. And it's something that he
Yeah.
really wants and he values it. And it's not that those things are bad things. It's just when the expectation becomes a stumbling block for the next generation that you want to pass it on to. And it
Yeah.
actually hurts Dan a lot with the way that Russ treats him and the fact that he can't control his anger and his frustration
Yeah.
is damaging. But Russ sees that and he learns from that. And at the end, he
Yeah.
calls Dan the Regaba warrior. And it's a beautiful moment of reunification between the father and son. And I
Yeah.
really, really love that because there's certain parts of masculinity that are not they're only toxic when they're used wrong, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And Russ was, I think, a good picture of that is that his traits are not bad. It's just the way he's using them and the way he's wielding them is actually
Yeah.
hurting the people around him. And what I love then about putting him up against Jangler is
Mm.
Jangler is very different than Russ and yet is also a warrior, is also entirely capable and has his own skill set and their friendship is secure enough that Jangler can actually say to him, "You messed up with the things that you said, and you need to
Yeah.
be kinder to your son
Hmm.
because what you're doing is actually harmful." And they have the security of friendship and the mutual respect of Russ, even though it kind of hurts him that Jangler has to say that, he still says, like, okay, I see what you're saying. And there's a
Yeah.
recognition of that. And I love that their friendship is strong enough as adult male squirrels who've known each other for a while, have their own parenting styles, their own lifestyles, their own community, and they come
Yeah.
together and you see that friendship sort of grow and change. And they are sort of them and Florian are the ones that are sort of heading the defenses of Redwall.
Yeah.
And I really like to see their friendship through that. And then
Yeah.
along with that, then their children who are
Yeah.
friends. And again, Brian does this so well. And generally it's usually a different species friendship where you have like,
Yeah.
female squirrel, male mouse or something along those lines, or like a
Hmm.
squirrel and a mole, or an otter and a squirrel,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, but in this one, you actually had two squirrels who were male and female and who were just friends. And there's
Yeah.
there's no potential, like there's a potential for romance, but there is none. And
Yeah.
I really appreciated that because Dan and Song are really good friends and just stay
Hmm.
really good friends throughout the whole
Yeah.
book. And then of course you have Dippler and Burble, who they're a quartet of characters who are friends. And I just
Yeah.
really appreciate that particular aspect of this book. And I think that's why picking a favorite character is difficult for me because
Yeah.
I like,
They all tie in together so
yeah,
yeah.
and
So well.
I think I like their friendships
Mm.
more than I like individual characters. Obviously,
Mm.
Kreika rises above them all. Let's be real.
Yeah.
She's the best. She's number one.
Yeah.
Um, but in particular in this book, I think it's the friendships that develop and the friendships that you get to see grow and change that I like the most.
Yeah.
And then I really, you know me, I love a quirky side character, okay?
You always love a quirky
And
side character.
Burble, he was
Yep.
so fun. He was so,
Yeah.
and just his yes, 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 his little
Yeah.
yes, yes, I guess, just really every time he said it, it made me giggle. And then of course, I also love, I don't know what it is about like old men that they're so funny in books. Because I'm thinking like
Yeah.
Emma's dad, Mr.
Oh,
Woodhouse.
yeah.
I'm like, man,
Yeah.
that guy was hilarious. It's so relatable. But I really, really loved Gajo, Song's grandpa. And the fact
Yeah.
that he was just like, I was a slave, I escaped, and then I accidentally adopted 12 children. So,
Yeah.
oops. And then he comes home and he sees his wife for the first time in decades, essentially. And
Hmm.
there's this like, it's just so beautiful of like true love. And they're like, oh, it's you, it's you. And then he's like, here's your children. And she's like, those are hedgehogs. That's a lot of children.
Okay,
And she
one
just
of
accepts
my
it.
she does,
It's
yeah. And
beautiful.
one of my favorite moments earlier on, because Song and the Osprey,
Mhm.
what's his name again?
I don't remember actually.
Song and Mighty McGraw.
Mighty
Uh,
McGraw.
for
Yep.
some reason, all the hawk-like birds have
Titles.
Scottish accents.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, she. she's separated from the main group for a while. They literally think she's dead at one point and stuff. But she's with McGraw. And we don't see her for a little bit as the other three are wandering around and they finally meet up. And that's when she ran into her grandpa while like off
Hmm.
on her own thing. So we didn't see them first meet. But she introduces the one named female hedgehog, whose name I can't
Hmm.
remember right now, out of that large group. And she's like, "This is my
Right.
aunt," to
Yeah.
everybody. And we were all like side-eyeing kind of basically. And it's like, okay, song, that's your aunt kind of a vibe.
Uh-huh. Sure.
And then they explained this is my grandpa. He adopted all of these hedgehogs and stuff.
Yeah.
So
It
it
is
just
very
was like,
funny.
it's so funny. I was like, that's so good.
And I love that it's so often in Brian's books that the hedgehogs are rambunctious and are not polite and have no manners literally at all.
Yeah.
And there's always someone that's trying to teach them manners and it doesn't work. And
Well,
it's
in the
just,
next book, we see more hedgehogs with manners.
oh my gosh, you're right. I was like, what are you talking about? But no, I just remembered you're right.
Yep.
Brianna, it's been a while.
Kaytlyn.
And by it's been a while, I mean it's this episode has gone on for a while. Nostalgia rating. What would you give it?
Exaggerating. I don't remember what I gave Long Patrol, but this one I'm gonna give. I feel like this is the same thing I did for Long Patrol. I'm gonna give it a 4. Because it touched on a lot of really great stuff. Remembered why I did like it when I was younger, and yeah, I think it's a 4
Love it.
overall. Like a lot of really great characters, a lot of really great. I think what you're saying is so on point of like they all work because they all work together so
Mhm.
well. Um, and even the good and the bad, like when there's tension and stuff, it's just
Mhm.
like all the characters thing. I think that's honestly the biggest thing about these books and why they are why I still have enjoyed them is they're
Yeah.
character driven, even with all of the other plot going on. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah. I think I'd give it a 5.
Oh,
I think I
okay.
gave Long
Love it.
Patrol a 5. I don't remember, but
Okay. I don't remember either, yeah.
I just yeah, I really loved it. There are some things obviously as an adult that I would change and some
Yeah.
discrepancies, some just things that are a bit different, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I yeah, revisiting this particular saga, the Krieger saga as we're
Yeah.
calling it, has been I think my favorite. Yeah, as I'm looking at the books that I own, I think it has been my favorite of all of the
Mm,
sequences that we've visited so far. So
yeah.
I
Makes
enjoyed it.
sense.
Any other thoughts, Brianna?
I do not have any more thoughts.
I have so many thoughts, but that's okay because I don't need to get them all out. I can do that in my own head at different times. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Readers Clubhouse. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify every other Friday. Check the episode description for our socials and join us in the Clubhouse next time as we discuss
Tagaron.
Tagarung. I should have known that because it's literally the direct sequel to this. Man alive. Yes, Tagarung, next series, Tattooed Otters. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. See you in the next one.
Bye.